Okay, let's start with Harmony. With Harmony Premium. Harmony, as you know, Harmony, we have developed Harmony and we have it today, 3 different editions. We have Harmony Essentials, we have Harmony Advanced, and we have Harmony Premium. Today, I will use Harmony Premium because it is the one that contains all the functionalities within all the softwares, and from that perspective, we'll be able to explain to you the different techniques that we can take advantage of within using our software there. Let's start with the basic of the software. First of all, I wanted to start with a simple scene here. In which we have for our demonstration. From this perspective, what we are going to have is we have the user interface of Harmony, in which we have an area in which we can see the camera view, the drawing view. We have a timeline area. We have as well an exposure sheet that can provide us information about where all the elements are on the screen. And we have different elements that we can continue working together within Harmony. Now, the first point that I want to make sure is that we wanted to start doing a scene here. I mean that for that aspect, what I will select is I will have my my brush. I can use any type of input device like the Wacom tablet or the Cintiq, and I can select my lines, and I have brush lines and pencil lines that I can draw directly into the system. I can do a small bouncing ball. Unfortunately, I'm not an animator, but I just want to show a couple of the basic things before jumping into the advanced part of the software. Let's say that we start with the first frame, then we go to the next frame, we turn it on the onion skin, and we start doing one frame at a time, and we can start having a really, really simple bouncing ball within the software. Now, from that perspective, it's really, really easy. It's really simple to be created. Now, when we are using the software was originally designed as a vector tool. And because it's a vector tool, we can always do many things with it. We can create another layer here. And in this new layer, we can actually start creating our drawing, and we can zoom and close up in that drawing without having any situation about resolution dependency. Now, from this perspective, that was the first part that we have with the software that we were using with the software for many years. That is well known, the software. Now, one of the things that is important today for us when we are working with Harmony is that we need to see that Harmony is a software that enables the artist and the studio to create any type of project. Let's start with the basic with that concept. Here, I will open this simple scene in which I have these 2 lines. And with these two lines we're using a tool that is the pencil line. As you may be familiar with it, let's select here, and I have the brush line. This is a brush line that I can control using my tool properties. And you can see the different types of lines that I can have with my brush line. This brush line is a vector line. And as you know here, if I select it, it's something that we call it the contour line, because it enables you to control each side of the line. Now, the big disadvantage of this type of vectors is that when you wanted to control the path in which the line was created, is really difficult. From that perspective, when we select something that is called the pencil lines are quite useful because actually you can select and control the line by the center part of the line. But one of the limitations that sometimes we have with pencil lines is that they have just the same thickness all around the line. From this perspective, what we have introduced into the software to help the animators to create different styles of lines is having this pencil line, but have the ability to control the line thickness of that pencil line. Now, from that perspective, if I select this pencil line and I create something that we call it a control point for that line, we can actually change the thickness of that line. And with this, we can now select the contour editor and manipulate the center of the line. With the center of the line being changed, the whole line preserves the information about the line thickness. Now, this is something that we introduced in the software with in version 10, was really, really powerful. But we added on top of this the ability to have on the line, if we select the line here, we can actually control information like a texture on the line. In this case, I will select this line. I will apply a texture to this line. And with this texture, this is a bitmap texture that goes all around the line. And the great advantage that we have with this is that we can actually now manipulate the center of the line, and the bitmap texture will follow correctly. And if we require it by the style of the project, we can actually select this line and go to a different texture and see how automatically change the line, because the new texture is applied using the same parameters of the center of the line. And this is something that when we introduce it into the software really has helped a lot of artists and a lot of studios to push the boundaries of different projects of animation, because now they can explore these different type of lines. I will recommend you to see for some of the examples. There's a project done by Disney called Pen Zero that uses a lot this concept about texturing line within the software. Now, from that perspective, the thing that we have with the pencil, we got the pencil lines, we can change the texture on the lines. But with this new version of the software, we have as well able to control many things on the lines as well. Let's say here that I select this character here, and this character has been drawn just as an example as a single pencil lines. Now we have created this drawing that we have different lines with different thickness. Means that we can actually select the line thickness from here, from one of the previous line, copy that line thickness, go to the next drawing, and paste that line thickness to the character, and automatically that line will get applied with the new characteristics of thickness. Now, if we do the same concept with other lines into the same drawing, we just need to select those lines, paste it, and now we have the same control in the different lines. And if we combine this with the concept about selecting the lines and apply actually a texture to the lines of the character, now we can see how the character completely can explore different ways of doing artistic creation with that vector lines. Now, one of the things that we have been thinking always with the Toon Boom and Harmony and Storyboard as our tools is how we can push the envelope, how we can bring the software to the next level. And to work on that direction, something that we have received a lot of comments from our artists that they wanted to even explore other type of styles of animation. And for that concept, what we can now do is we can create a drawing, but we have introduced something that is as well bitmap tools within Harmony. It means that Harmony is a software that enables you to create paperless animation in vector, but now it can enable you to create paperless animation in bitmap. Let me show you this part. Let's say that we create now a drawing that has a bitmap layer, and with this bitmap layer, we can select it here. And now when I select the brush tools, I will have included into the software many templates of brush tools. But when I draw with them, I'm drawing like if I was completely in a bitmap software, like the ones from Adobe or all the other types of companies. And now we have a full level of control about the type of lines that we are creating. We have these type of lines that are totally bitmap. Give me a second. It seems that the screen is not being properly shared.
Some people are seeing it, some people
aren't. I will show this. I will stop and do the screen sharing again. Okay. Let's see if it seems that now it's showing the screen again. Sorry about this technical problem.
It was okay before. Just
Let's see if that has resolved it. that if you have problems, please just type it on the questions, and we will try to see how we can resolve the issue. Anyway, I was talking about that with the Harmony, with this new version of Harmony, we have the ability to not just create vector lines, but we have the ability to create actually bitmap drawings directly within the software. And in this case, I create a new drawing layer, and with this new drawing layer, actually have the capability to draw directly there and select different type of brushes that are included into the software that now are really flexible because we are using full bitmaps all around when we are creating the drawings. Now, the level of control that we have for all of these lines, basically it's very wide because we have included a new bitmap engine within the software. And as you can see here, when I select one of these brushes, like the stars that I was drawing here, basically these are using a different level of control. We have the control of the tip, we can control the transparency, we can control a secondary tip to be able to carve out part of the drawing, and you can control even the paper texture in which is drawn. And all of this is something that you can configure the brushes as well. It means that it became to be really an open environment for you to create and to express any type of style of animation within Harmony. We are really confident and have seen all our artists really start exploring these capabilities, and basically it breaks all the limits about what you can do with just a particular technique. Basically, with this concept, you can use any type of technique that you want to do for your project directly, for drawing directly within the software, and you can use select, and you can combine vector lines with bitmaps or brushes or texture lines, all of that being together. Now let me show you an example here about one one artist, one animator shows some of his project, and we were we like it, and we wanted to showcase it for you. In this case, Frank Sommers sent us this example in which the drawing that he has created is actually a drawing completely using paper texture, lines with texture, everything done in bitmap. And it has created that example. You can see that it has it has the keyframes, has the breakdowns, the in-betweens. And if we go to the drawing here, we can see how there is a list of rough drawings in which he based his animation. And after that, these drawings are bitmap drawings, completely within the software for full paperless pipeline. Then he did a tie down of the drawings, creating the in-between drawings as well as he drew. And for painting the character, actually, he used as well just brushes as strokes in bitmap, giving a really high level of control about how he wanted to have the artistic creation of this example. Before, with Harmony, was really difficult to accomplish this type of flexibility and freedom on the drawings. Now all the artists can have access to this freedom of combining depending on the type of production and the type of artistic look that they wanted to explore with the software. Okay, now that we have worked about the lines, let me just show you a couple of additional advanced functionality for the paperless process. One of the tools that I like to present here is something that is enable a technology that is called shift and trace. Let me open a scene for you to showcase that. In this example, we have the character. The character was created, everything paperless, means that frame by frame animation on this particular example. The character jumps. And we have here our exposure sheet and our timeline working together. Let's just go a little bit below here and let's go to our drawing view. Now we have the character. The character is created. And one of the techniques that we do with the shift and trace that is quite useful is that we can select actually different drawings. Let's say that we want to create a drawing, a breakdown in between this drawing and this drawing. Basically, we just need to select it, send it to our light table and the drawing mode, the 3 drawings, and once we have it there, we can see that if we turn on our onion skin, we can see that the 3 drawings, the empty drawing and the previous and last drawing, are at the same time shown on the screen. Now, one of the nice things from this perspective is that now we are not using the timing that is happening on the X sheet. We're using a timing that we have just on the drawing view. And this is really following the traditional style of having a particular group of drawings on our light table and being able to select it and position to be able to create the in-between drawing out of them. But let's say that now we select our drawing that we wanted to create, but we wanted to use the reference, the previous and the last drawing. And with the shift and trace technique, what it helps us is that we can actually enable the shift and trace and say that we wanted to select this drawing, the last drawing, and have it a little bit below, having the first drawing a little bit higher, let's say there. And now we select our drawing that we wanted to draw, and we can now close up to that part of the drawing, and we can create our breakdown drawing exactly where we need it. From that perspective, we can select our pencil line here, and we can do our drawing and start drawing the drawing directly here. If we select and we turn it off, the tool, automatically the 2 drawings return to the original place. It means that the artists have all the flexibility to be able to use the drawings completely as reference in any part, and then once he wants to see exactly how it looks in the middle, then we can just turn it on and off that part. This shift and trace is a really, really powerful tool within Harmony to be able to create paperless frame-by-frame animation within Harmony. Now, when you are working with the drawings, actually you can do many other type of modifications. In this case, I did a translation, but you can actually do as well a rotation of the drawing. We can select here and rotate the drawing, and we can reset that rotation as well. There is really, really flexible. You have a lot of control of how you want to reposition the drawing to be used as reference for the other drawings. Now, if we combine this type of tool, now we are working to create the drawings. We can select different type of lines, vector lines, bitmap lines. Now, we wanted to start working and provide even more functionality to the user. And for that one, let me show you this other example in which basically we wanted to incorporate 3D elements to be able to do a proper animation, but matching the proper registration with those elements. Now, from that angle, that perspective, basically what we wanted to do there is compare the different techniques in the past with the new techniques that we have within Harmony today. Let's say that here we have our character. Sorry, we have our model. This model was created in Maya, animated completely in Maya, and it opens the hatch there. And we want to have our character going out. Basically, we can select here our brush line. We can select the color in which we wanted to use it. That we want to have a red color here, and we wanted to start drawing the hands of the character coming out of the hatch. But let's say that this is a process that is really limiting because you need to do the animation in 3D first, and once it's done in 3D, you render it, but all the camera and all the position of the character is already fixed. If you need to do any particular modification of the 3D element, it needs to go back to the 3D software and do the modification within the 3D software. And that is a process that is very, very time consuming. Now, let's say that with that concept in mind, we have the ability to, instead of using a sequence of drawings, like we have done with that, let's remove that and let's bring actually the 3D element there. When we bring the 3D element, now we can go to the perspective view and actually we have a full 3D element that was animated in Maya, and we can bring it within the software. Now, from that situation, we can actually see the animation happening there and our character properly registering from the camera angle where do we want it to have it. And with that concept, if we need to do a small adjustment on the 3D part, we can actually select the 3D element here and say that we wanted to open the hatch a little bit here. We can rotate it as well. And we have the control to reposition the 3D part element and help us to match perfectly the registry between our software and the drawing techniques. This is a very, very powerful way to start working with a hybrid results within the software. It means that we can use this type of tools and bring it together and create the animation tight and have not problem of registration because there is everything within the software in which we are creating the animation. Now, if we select that and we use it as a reference, can we use it as well for other parts of animation? For that example, let me open here another scene in which we have an animated sequence of a character that is running in place. Basically, this character is running there in place. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to select that and put it a trajectory to that character. Now this is the trajectory. It's going to be running from left to right. But instead of running there alone, what we wanted to do is we wanted to go to the perspective view and show how we can bring a 3D element. In this concept, we're bringing a full 3D element that is incorporated into the scene, and our 2D character is now in the middle of this 3D element. Now we can see now here how our character is actually running in the scene. In the same way that we are animated and we have the character, we can actually bring a 3D element like a car and position that car as well on the scene. And now we can see both of them working together, and we have the 3D element for the whole background, the shopping mall. We have the car there, and if we added the camera, we can actually have a camera moving in the scene and have a full rotation of the camera. Let's see how it will look from the camera perspective. Basically there, we have the character that moves, the camera is moving, and the camera will actually rotate sideways And when it rotates, we see that our character is actually a 2D character. But because it's a 2D character, we have an effect that enables the character to always keep looking where the camera is. And the software automatically corrects that part. Now, one of the things that is important with the software is that we can actually work directly here. And when we send to render the scene, one of the important things that Harmony now has is the ability to, because we're bringing multiple elements, we are actually calling the 3D software to do the rendering. And if we see here in our activity monitor, we can see how Maya is being used by Harmony. Harmony is calling Maya to make sure that the rendering occurs, all the 3D element is rendered within Maya, and with that, all the information that Maya creates with the shaders, with the proper lights, it's back to Harmony to do the continued compositing of the scene. With that, the whole pipeline of integration between the 2D element and the 3D element gets completely together. Now, we have been talking a lot about the 2D elements, drawing 2D elements paperless. We have now incorporated even with 3D elements and 3D backgrounds. Let's go a little bit back on the creation of the animation itself. Let's select from this perspective other scene here that is quite interesting, because this scene is actually a scene that represents the use of other tools when we're talking about a cutout type of animation. The cutout animation is really powerful in the software. And with this example, I will start with the simple basics of the type of cutout, and then I will show you a little bit more advanced technique from that concept itself. We have this character. This character is actually being animated by using the different parts. If I select here the library, you will see that we have a face, we have the leg, the body, the nose, the arm. And when we animate that, we can select the arm and we have as a separate element the hand. But if we select the arm here, with Harmony, we have incorporated many types of deformers that are very, very powerful and can be used to give a lot of flexibility on how to do animation. Now, let's select that we have our hand. We move this, our arm, and automatically the hand follows and the arm rotates. We're using something we call it the bone deformer. That brings a lot of power and simplicity on how to do animation, and it's very, very easy to use, but it provides a different level of organic result to the character. Now let's select actually the body of the character and show the deformer that it has. With this deformer here, basically I can select this part and manipulate the head and the rest of the body, and the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the ears follow the position. Make it very simple, the concept of having one single drawing with a deformer and have access to so many levels of control over the different parts of the character. Now, from that perspective, let's say that we have here the character, we are moving it. Let's go now with the leg. Let's select the leg here. Let's select the deformer, and we can move the leg. But in this case, the tennis shoe is not following that leg. It's something that we can correct by simply selecting the tennis shoe and tell the system that we wanted to connect the tennis shoe as well to the movement of the leg. Now we have the movement of the leg here, and we can move it together, and we can ask our character to cross his leg. Really simple, really easy to do. Now, these are the deformers, but can be used for really an advanced type of animation. Let's open another example here. In this one, we have the character that actually is using other type of deformers that we call it the envelope deformers. We have our character, the face. All of the things all the animation that you will see here is actually done by using simple elements. Let's go and see some of the parts. We have the nose here. We have the mouth, the bottom part of the mouth, the chin. And basically, if we select here the deformer, we can see that there is a new type of deformers with this new version of Harmony, very, very powerful, very advanced, that is called, that with these new deformers, basically, we can manipulate the shape of the drawing. And if we select the deformer and we can move the deformer, we can actually control the drawing itself. Now, using this technique, let's select now the nose here, show the envelope deformer, and with the envelope deformer, let's manipulate the nose. Using this technique on the different parts of the drawing, combine it with the other type of deformers. Basically, we can have a lot of control. This is the curve deformer. We have seen the bone deformer, and now the envelope deformer. We can control all the different parts of the face of this character, and then we can see how the animation of the face, and we can do actually 180 and even for some characters 360 degrees rotation with one single set of drawings. Everything is done by using the deformers on the different parts of the elements of the face to do that effect of really having with one single rig, with one single rig element, have a whole degree of flexibility on how we manipulate our character. And of course, the deformers actually works as well to hide or show different parts of the face. Like in this case, if I'm coming back to the nose and I select the nose, I can see that if I move the nose, the eye will as well have been affected by what can be shown or not by the deformer. Now, with all of these parts, we're really combining all the different techniques. And basically, one of the other very, very powerful points for Harmony is that you can use and mix these techniques together in one single project. Some characters may be better to go frame by frame. Other characters may be better to do by cutout. We have studios that are doing all the production cutout using these deformers. We have other studios that are doing all the production using a paperless or even a traditional scan and ink and paint. And we have studios that combine all of them together. And now with the ability with the hybrid to bring 3D elements within the software and work with those elements really expands the possibilities of how to do the different type of animation. Now, this is the first part of the software. However, the second part that is very, very powerful of the software is the ability to do a lot of special effects. And for that, let me show you a couple of examples. In this one, basically, I have a character. Remember the character of the girl that is jumping. Okay, let's use the same character there. And with that character, what we're going to do is we're going to start doing a little bit of special effects on that character. Harmony includes around 45, 50 different type of filters and special effects. You can see it here on the library. Let's go to the filter section. But let's use a couple of other techniques to do special effects within Harmony, advanced parts of the animation. Let's go to this frame. Let's have our character that is jumping into the screen. And from this perspective, we have the screen side there, the screen element. And if we go inside the screen element, basically what we're going to do is we're going to go to our library. And in our library, we can create effects and we can combine them and we can store those effects to be reused later. This is very, very powerful because you can actually create your effects in advance in some projects and bring those effects when they are needed. Now let's say that we go to the effects and we have created a couple of effects for this particular scene that are underwater effects. Now, using these effects here, basically I will select the underwater and I will connect it, the position, I will pass my character, and I will say that I wanted to have this effect created. Now, let's see how that effect is done. We are creating a sand on this screen and we are creating the top of the water in which is jumping. Now, how we do this underwater effect? In this particular case, we are using many of our own effects within the software, within Harmony, but we are as well incorporating a new technology that is very powerful technology that is called Open Effects. And what we're using for that technology is that we incorporate a third-party plugin in the, created for many providers. I will show today the one from GenArts called Sapphire line of plugins. These effects are very, very powerful, as I mentioned, and they have more than 250 effects that suddenly are able to be used completely within Harmony. It means that the studios that are already familiar with these effects, you may have been using it for After Effects or for Nuke or for other type of software, you can use those effects within Harmony, and you don't need to buy another set of effects. You can just use those effects, and if you have, for example, a Nuke installed into the system, automatically Harmony will load those effects, and you can access them directly here. And one of the effects that we're using for that one is we're using a texture flux. Let's try to do some modifications to that effect. All of these are the parameters for that effect that are coming from the Sapphire, but we can use as well an editor from Sapphire that enables you to change a different type of the effect and see how that change will look into your scene. It means that I can select, for example, a different one and say load that effect. And now the system will load that new settings and apply it to my scene. It means that Harmony is a very, very robust and powerful set that works for animation, for all the type of animation, but as well works perfectly to work on the special effects part. And as you see here, I'm using that special effect, the texture, directly into the software. Now that we have that, we have another effect that is from Sapphire as well, the warp perspective. And you have many styles that you can use and you can configure. And if we select this part, let's use another effect. Let's put a light effect, some light, some rays coming in as well into the water. And with these rays here, these rays are basically as well a combination of a blur, mask, turbulent noise from Toon Boom, from a Harmony directly, but is using Sapphire H-rays effects. And as you see here as well, there are many type of rays that you can use and you can select, and you can create your own templates and your own settings from that, making it extremely flexible to be working with the different effects. And now if we wanted to add even more effects, let's say that we wanted to have a glow on that character when he's jumping into the water, we can actually select that to our node library, select the glow effect, and with the glow effect, we can bring it into the system, connect it to the drawing, put it on the back, and add some values for that effect. Let's say that we wanted to have 3 and we wanted to have it a little bit of greenish, yellowish color there. Means that doing effects within Harmony is really, really powerful, and Harmony as well works with other systems if you need to do effects and send effects for another system. But today Harmony really incorporates quite a good range of flexibility on the effects. And one of those effects that we're really happy to have incorporated into the software is the light shading effect. And let me show you a little bit about that advanced effect. For that one, I will start with a simple example here to demonstrate the concepts of the light shading effect. Here, what we have is a character. It's a flat character, was created in this case a single drawing, but we have incorporated different parts of the character. And what we do with that character is that we can render the character and see the first part. And as you can see here, it has some tones, some shadows, and some highlights. And how those highlights were created? Those highlights were created with a concept that we call it light shading. What does that mean? It means that basically we can now select different parts of the character and we can apply a light source for that. We can have here a light source for this part, a light source. We can have as many light sources as we need it on the character. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to select a light source like this and change the light source. See on this part, I want to turn the light from another direction. And now the light is coming and applying totally to the different part of the character, just because I'm moving the light source to that other section. Now, if we work with that, what really is happening? Basically, to accomplish this type of effects is happening two things. One of them is we're creating a normal map for the character. Basically, we're creating this volumetric representation in which some parts are more embossed, some parts are going down, and we use this information to create the different areas that get modified by the different parts of the light source. And this light source can be animated, and the character can be animated. Make it very, very powerful the way that it works, the automatic light shading. This is something that can be used for a cutout type of projects, for paperless type of projects, or for even scan drawing paper drawings. It doesn't matter what's the source of the drawing. Automatically, the solver can create all of these different type of effect within selecting the different areas. Now, let me show you a small example of how this looks when we have a character and a light moving around. For that perspective, let me just open here and select. As you see here, basically we have this character on the right, then we have on the center the representation of the character with volume, and the original character that is flat without the light shading. And basically we can select a light source and move the light source and see how this light source affects the different parts of the character depending on when it is, and make it really, really powerful and really simple to animate and to create a volumetric effect toward your character. And it's a technology that we're incorporated, that we have now in Harmony 12. We really encourage you to play with it and to start using it. We are improving a lot this technology, and we're going to continue exploring different areas and different avenues to have this level of more techniques, advanced techniques for you to use within Harmony when you are producing animation. Just to complete and pass to questions and answers, I would like to just to let you know that in Harmony you still have the capability, no matter if you are using Harmony Essentials, Harmony Advanced, or Harmony Premium, to create animation and use our game engine plugin in Unity and bring that animation within Unity. I think we're going to do a webinar on that topic, particularly that will go to the steps, but I just want to make sure that you keep that in mind, that the same the animations that are done in Harmony, you can do animations in Harmony that are targeted for the different web engines. Perfect. I think we have covered the points that I was planning to do this afternoon. I hope you guys have seen it interesting, and I will go to see some questions.
So the first question comes from Scott. Scott asks, can you show how to set up an envelope deformer?
Actually, what we're going to do for that, we have a webinar that will go step by step of how to do the envelope deformer. It's actually really similar as any of the other deformers, and basically what it does is that you go around the shape of the object that you are trying, and make sure that you put it to conform that shape. And after that, the nice part of this envelope deformers that we have is that you can animate it and they will be really, really stable. Something that we have been working hard to have that level of quality. And it was going to be the tutorial in a webinar for step by step how to do that.
Good. Thank you. Next question comes from Anita. How many of these features are available in premium?
Actually, all the features that I have presented to you are in premium at this moment. Basically, advanced and essentials are the ones that has some of less features, but the one that I have shown today has been everything in premium.
Good. There's a lot of great feedback as well, so thank you, everybody. Okay, next question comes from Roberto. Does Harmony work only with Maya, or could we use any other 3D software?
You can use any 3D software for. Actually, I show Maya, but the reality is that we're loading 3D elements using a file format that is called FBX. We can use FBX. We are now supporting Alembic as well, and basically with any software that you can create FBX and Alembic, we can incorporate it within Harmony. Now, for the rendering part, we support to use primary to send it back to Maya, but we have the ability as well to create a RIF file and use Pixie and use a 3D Light and other type of renders as well.
Next question comes from Christopher. Christopher says, I use Blender. What file formats are compatible with Harmony?
As I mentioned, if you export it using FBX and Alembic, that will be the file format that you can use.
Good. The pivot position comes from the rig of the model.
Yes, no, at this moment, the pivot position of the different parts has been repositioned within Harmony. What we're working in the future is how to enhance that capability and being able to read more information from the FBX file.
Good. So Don wants to know, so can all 3D software that saves files in FBX can be used in Harmony?
Actually, yes. Now, keep in mind that FBX is a file format that may contain many additional functionality. Means that always I recommend to you that you have your models, whatever is the 3D software, and try to save it in the FBX file that is tries to constrain to the basics of the element. For example, some FBX files may contain different type of nerves and complex type of shapes. Means that if you keep it as serving it as a FBX with a baked animation, then it's going to be very much simpler to be loaded.
Next question comes from Adrian. He or she would like to know, are Flash documents and or After Effects cameras and composites capable with Harmony, compatible?
Basically, there are certain workflows that we have customers that have been using Harmony, and the workflows can go in different directions. One of them, for example, is that is something that is done within Harmony with the camera move. We can export that camera move. We have a lot of scripts. I recommend you to contact our support department. They have a lot of scripts, and we are adding as well into our website as a knowledge base that can export the camera information from Harmony and bring it to After Effects. And with that, if you need to do a particular special effects within After Effects, you can bring the camera information that was done within Harmony. We have as well the other way around with Maya, for example. You can have a camera move in Maya, export it from Maya, and import that camera move within Harmony. There is different workflows that are possible. If you have any questions on that, on the details of that, we'll be happy to help you.
Good. Next question comes from Stan. Can you import Illustrator files or SVG into Harmony Essentials?
Yes, actually, you can import Illustrator files. That is the basic of the PDF. Illustrator, we support Illustrator 10, and I think a couple of new new versions of Illustrator. And after you import them, basically the software, what we will do is we will convert into our vector files. The only thing that I will ask you to keep in mind is that when we're talking about the vector world, there's many techniques and technologies in each software package. Means that there may be some items on the vector file that comes from Illustrator that may not be compatible. But the basic part of the standard part of the vectors are compatible.
Next question comes from Ernest. He wants to know, can I can export out FBX Camera from Storyboard?
Yes, actually, I didn't show today's storyboard, but the answer is yes. The camera and the element layers inside this storyboard can be exported as an FBX, and that FBX can be loaded in any 3D software, and you can recreate the scene, because even with the storyboard, you have the capability to have these the layers, the drawing layers that you can create in a storyboard, as well as the camera information and even the 3D elements, and all of them will be loaded within the 3D software by opening these FBX files from a storyboard.
Scott has a really good question, and it says, in terms of saving rendering time, does Harmony only calculate what is on camera, or is it better to remove drawings once they are off camera, especially in a very heavy layered scene?
Actually, Harmony is really efficient on that part. Everything that is not visible on the camera, it will not be loaded at the rendering time. The rendering time will be quite optimized on that. Means that don't worry about elements that are off screen. The only thing that is for sure part is when you are actually animating the scene, not rendering but animating it. Basically, at that moment you can at any moment move and show things that are off camera. At that point, it can have a little bit of impact if you have many things that are not going to be visible at that point, but it's in the interactive part, not at the rendering time.
So we have a couple people asking again. Yes, this webinar is being recorded, and you will find it online in a couple of hours at toonboom/webinars.com. So please, you can go there and see it. Somebody is asking, Christopher is asking, do you guys offer one-on-one training?
Yes, we do have you can have one-on-one training. That's something that is not on my department, but you can contact us at info@toonboom.com, and we will be happy to guide you with the right group that will do the training.
We have actually a question in Spanish, so I'm going to let Francisco read it.
Yes, I will say, when we import a model in 3D from 3ds Max, how it's going to be rendered, and that part is not actually probably Italian.
Tipo.
In che nostro, il contorno. Basically, if for rendering part, the software, sorry, I don't understand the whole question completely, but if you use 3D Max, you can export from 3D Max as an FBX and have it inside Harmony. But to render, you will need to create a RIF file to be able to be rendered using 3D Light, or to be used Maya or Mental Ray, or V-Ray, but directly from the RIF file. We're not controlling back the Maya file like we do, the Max file, as we do it with Maya. With Maya, we have extended our rendering to control a little bit more Maya. For the other ones, we're using the RIF file creation.
John has a good question. Will Photoshop 3D files work in Harmony?
No, actually, not directly, not coming from Photoshop. If I'm not remember wrong, and this one I'm not totally sure, but what Photoshop supports is an OBJ file, and an OBJ file is a file that can be converted to FBX, and you can use it within Harmony as well, and but not directly coming from Photoshop. But this one, take it with a grain of salt, because I'm not totally sure.
Scott is asking, is there an easy way to flatten SWFs with imports to one single layer into Harmony?
Basically, we don't really flatten. What we can do is we can create an equivalent of a symbol within Harmony and manipulate it as one symbol. We normally don't promote a lot the concept of symbol within Harmony, because it has conceptually certain limitations compared to the layering part in Harmony. But if you bring a sweet file, you can actually keep it as a symbol. Means that on your timeline, you will see it as a single layer.
Next question is from Don. Don wants to know, can Vue files be imported into Harmony?
No, not at this moment. It's something that is part of things that we are exploring for the future, but I cannot tell you at this moment if we're going to be able to support it or not.
Next question comes from Jeff. Jeff wants to know, when rendering, must we use Maya rendering engine, or can we use 3ds Max as a renderer from Toon Boom and then doing 2D, 3D hybrid animation?
That's what I was mentioned before. At this moment, we can use the refile to render and use render engines like V-Ray or 3D Light, but via the refile. With the only one that we have the connection to control the software itself is with Maya at this moment.
So they're asking who in the support can you contact. So basically we have a general email address and we have a large support team, so we can't tell you exactly who would be able to answer you in support, but your question will be answered within 24 hours. And we have all kinds of specialists, whether it's a 2D person or a 3D person, gaming or cutout specialist.
And normally what happens is if the question is quite specialized in a particular area, we will be support will contact the R&D department as well, and we will try to help you as much as possible to try to find the best answer for you.
Okay, so the next question comes from Yamil. Yamil asks, I use the pencil tool with a charcoal texture, but when I export the animation to SWF, the texture disappears. Is there a specific setting I can use to set up before exporting the SWF?
No, unfortunately, that's a limitation on the SWF file format. SWF file format is very powerful for many things, but on the other one, it has limitations, and the texture lines are not supported, and not because we would not like that to be supported, it's just that the Swift format, unfortunately, the SWF doesn't support it.
So we've come to the end of the webinar. We haven't been able to answer all the questions. There are lots of them. So we encourage you all to send your questions to webinars@toonboom.com. And we'll get back to you as soon as possible. This webinar, like I said earlier, will be online in a couple of hours, so you can watch it again. We're also going to be giving this same webinar 2 more times because it was in high demand. So you can check the webinar schedule on our website or on our blog at blog.toonboom.com. And we hope this was informative, and we look forward to your feedback.
Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure to be with you. I hope it was informative. Thank you again.